Hi, welcome to Readers in the Making. I'm Trina Devery, and today we're going to talk about the two-song reading method and what that means. Hope you stick around. Welcome to Readers in the Making, the live show where we celebrate the magic of books and the joy of helping kids grow as readers. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just someone who loves fostering a deep, lifelong love of reading, you're in the right place. Each week, I will dive into actionable tips, creative strategies, and inspiring stories to help you nurture confident, curious, and excited readers, one page at a time. I'm Trina Devery, your host and biggest cheerleader in the journey of building readers. So grab your coffee, your notebook, or maybe even your favorite book, and let's get ready to inspire the next generation of readers. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's dive in. Hey, okay, so today we are talking about the two-song method. What does that even mean? So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about this outstanding book that I'm reading by Mel Robbins called The Just Let Them Theory. It's really life-changing. It's really going to be helpful for me. I needed this book so long ago and I need it now, and I think most of us need it. But one of the things that she's talking about in the book is when we are pressuring people to do something that we want them to do, that we know is really good for them, that we really feel that they should be doing, if we're pressuring them, then the automatic instinct, our human nature, is to push back. We're pushing them, they're pushing back. So if you're feeling that with your child, if you're feeling that push, pull, when you're trying to get them to do something that they absolutely hate or feel like is the worst. Now, sometimes as the adult, we're like, well, we told you to clean your room, you're going to have to clean your room. We might go about it in a way where we're asking them, would you like to clean your room this morning, or would you like to clean your room after lunch? You know, we might give them some kind of a choice, or we might do something different in order to try to motivate them to clean their room. But essentially they're going to clean their room. But if we are behaving in that same way towards reading, towards something that we want them to love as a lifelong reader, then we have to think about it a little bit differently. We want to think about the inspiring them, the influencing them, motivating them, rather than the push-pull relationship that we seem to have. And believe me, I understand, because it was a push-pull with my son. And what Mel talks about is something about, first of all, figuring out why we're pushing them, and really uncovering the where this is coming from aspect. For me, it was coming from, I'm worried that you're not going to succeed in school, or I'm worried that you're not going to succeed in life, or I'm worried that you're going to have a harder time gaining information and gathering information if you're not reading. Some of those things are incorrect. So some of those things I'm like, it doesn't mean you're not going to learn anything. It doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. There's so many other ways of gaining information. However, that is such a beautiful gift to give someone when they themselves can read and they're not always relying on audiobooks, which, by the way, is reading. When they themselves are diving into a book to whether it's to research and learn something, or figure out a recipe, how to cook it, or the directions to how to set something up, or how to play a video game, or any of the things, any of the purposes we have for reading a letter, reading an email, reading a text, any of those purposes, with why we also want them to love it as well, because it can be, a beautiful journey into a new world. It can help us look at other people's perspectives. It can take us on, on a way of just relaxing with our book, and it can take us to different worlds and all the beautiful things about reading. So we want to think of it as if we're constantly pushing them, they're pushing back. So how can we reframe that? Instead of push, we get to look what I have for you kind of mentality. We talked a little bit about changing our language a few days ago on Readers in the Making, so check those out if you haven't seen them already. I try to keep them relatively short. They're under 10 minutes so far. I'm working at it. That means I need to get to it. Okay, so thinking about it as we don't want them pushing and pulling. We don't want to have all these excessive parameters that make reading feel like a chore, such as reading time limits. Like, we want you to read for 30 minutes. I mean, I'm guilty of that as a teacher. I know that I had that on my homework assignment. I don't know if I had 30 minutes. I might have had 20 minutes. Whatever the point is it felt like a chore sometimes to kids. It felt like drudgery. It felt like they're working in a zone of drudgery and not in a zone of genius. And that's sad. We don't want to put a time limit on kids reading. And if it feels like too much, we don't want them to feel like, well, we're sitting here, we're doing this, and this is what we're doing. And when we have things like reading logs where they have to keep track of everything they've read, or we have things like reading summaries, which, oh, don't even get me started on reading summaries. So help me, if I had to write a reading summary for every single thing I read, I would not want to read ever again. So we want to be careful of some of the things that we've put into practice that are actually hurting kids and or making them dislike reading even more. So instead of setting a timer, because timers can be stressful to some kids, why don't you compromise with the 2-song method? The 2-song method is, we're going to read until these 2 songs have played. Now, most songs are like 3 to 4 minutes. So we're talking, what, 8 minutes, 10 minutes at the most? That feels more doable. And you start to work up to let's listen to 3 songs, or let's listen to this song 3 times, or whatever you want to do. All right, so that's just one method that can actually help kids go, okay, I can do that. A song doesn't feel bad. And having that music playing in the background. Here's the key though. You don't necessarily want music that's going to distract them. So you might find some like classical music. And if they're not totally into classical music, there's like hip hop classical music. There's such a variety of classical music. I do have some suggestions. Like, I know a good song to start with is like You've Got a Friend in Me, that by Randy Newman from the Toy Story. That's such a cute one. Akuna Matata. Kids love that. But rather than finding ones that have these words so that kids are like singing along in their head instead of actually reading, we want to find like the classical version, or the version with the orchestra version, where they know the tune, but they can kind of hear it, but they're able to focus on their book. And other music that I love to do, and I used to use the Beatles a lot in my classroom. I used to have them, we came to writing workshop every day to come together, and we finished up writing workshop with It's a Hard Day's Night, and I never had anyone complaining about picking things up or coming to a writing meeting because of those songs. And so that just makes it more joyful. Another really great music to work to think to like be productive around are beats that are like faster, and things like The Dark Knight Rises and Superman, those movie soundtracks that are like and like they have that big music that comes in, that can be really motivating while you're trying to be productive at the same time, speaking from a person who has ADD. And sometimes those kind of background noises are helpful for people that have ADD. So just something to think about. So the 2-song method can be a nice compromise. It can help kids feel like it's not drudgery. It's not going to take forever. And then maybe we're going to move on to 3 songs. Today we get to do 3 songs. And if they're still reading, you just kind of let the music keep going. That's why having like a movie soundtrack is nice. Like Superman soundtrack is nice, because then the music can kind of keep going and you kind of lose track of when the next song started. And so you're not tricking them, but you're just allowing them to read until they naturally stop reading. I hope this helped. Okay, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone that is struggling, with their kids loving to read, or their child, they feel like their child is behind in some way, or they feel like they're not loving it, or they're not getting it. Be sure to share it and write down some comments. Let me know what songs work for you, or what quick strategy helps you with your child. All right, together we're gonna make a difference. We're gonna instill a love of reading, one book at a time.